How are you guys? Anyone sleeping yet? Nope? Alright. I'll try to not make you sleep. So yeah, I'm George. I'm part of LimeChain, which is basically a company that does blockchain development for other companies. And I want to tell you today the tale of Etherlime, which is basically one that's coming out of necessity. And I want to just first surveil you. So how many of you have developed smart contracts? Cool, I expected that. How many of you have deployed these smart contracts on Rinkeby or Robston? How many of you have deployed one contract, at least one contract on mainnet? How many of you have deployed more than one smart contract on mainnet? Alright, cool. So my very interesting story comes out of going to mainnet with the first project that we actually had to deploy more than one smart contracts. So basically, much like everyone else, we were using Truffle, and we did our amazing, so cool deployment scripts, the migration files, and we deployed it like 100 times on Rinkeby, 2,000 times on Robston, and then I just went with Network Live, and yeah, it didn't really work. The first contract went through, then some migration started happening, Ether starts getting draining, and my contracts were like interrelated because they're like factory and registry, and you really want the address of the factory to be built into the registry, but the contract still, the deployment still kept failing. And the worst part is that I had promised that I would deliver this on Thursday morning, and it was Friday evening already, and I still couldn't deliver this. And you should not, guys, never deliver on Friday evenings. You know why? And yeah, so I ended up doing the following thing. I had to write my own JavaScript files and execute them with Node, and use the library called Ethers.js. How many of you know Ethers.js? Thank you. Thank you. It's not for me, it's for Richard, right? Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, we basically, I used JavaScript files, used them with Node, used Ethers, and basically deployed without any trouble. So basically a normal thought occurred in my mind: why should it be so hard to go to mainnet? And why should everyone write their own Node scripts? I know people that are writing their own Bash scripts and doing different stuff. And decided to actually try and see how hard will it be to actually create a CLI interface that allows you to deploy. But these deployment scripts should be based on Ethers.js. And actually it wasn't so hard. And the natural next thing was for me to actually think, alright, but if you have a Truffle project, but you're deploying with Ethers.js, don't you want your tests to actually be written in Ethers.js? Which in my opinion is much more powerful library. And then we added test functionality, and sooner we started actually to adding more and more stuff that is based on Ethers. We started improving on Truffle, and there came Etherlime. So in Berlin, I actually met Cassandra, and she was kind enough to us to help us to actually grow Etherlime much more with the fund from Ethereum Community Fund. So today I want to show you what Etherlime looks like, how it behaves, what good things are there, and I will tell you what good things are next to come. So yeah, let me just come here. So I'm going to take like 8 minutes to go through the basic things. So do you guys see this? Do you want me to zoom more?
Please.
Alright. Tell me when you're seeing. Is this good? I'll tell you what I'm typing. I'm typing, so basically how do you install Etherlime? Well, much like any JavaScript library, you just do npm install Etherlime globally because it's a CLI. So I won't install it here, but you can guys do it very easily. It has no problems installing. So the first thing that you do is you just go to an empty directory and just go Etherlime init. So this is going to scaffold a simple project for you that has several files that are there. It's going to generate you package JSON, install Etherlime, and give you a nicely scaffolded project. So this is the basis for you to start developing. Now, one thing that we are planning for the future is to create a migration tool, where basically if you have an existing project and you want to use all the goodies that are from Etherlime, you can migrate your project. So yeah, all of this went through. So let me just show you very quickly what's in here now that we have created. So there is a contract folder with a contract that you can use very easily. There is a deployment folder with a deployment script that you can use very easily. There is a test folder where you should write your unit tests, always write your unit tests. And there is an example test on how you can use that. So yeah, this is pretty much how just plain new Etherlime project looks like. So now I'm going to jump into a project that is already existing because I want to show you more things that are there. So I will start a project that one of my colleagues pre-made, because by the way we are doing an academy back in Sofia, Bulgaria, where we are teaching people on blockchain development, and we are always teaching them on Ether.js and Etherlime. So very good response currently on this. So first thing that I want to show you is how do you compile. Well, it's basically as easy as Etherlime compile. And for Etherlime compile, while we're compiling this project, I should show you that one of the main things that we are very proud of ourselves is that we are keeping very up-to-date documentation. So whatever we do, it's always in the doc. You can see the Etherlime library API, you can see the Etherlime CLI. For example, here is the compile method. So it supports a lot of things, you can guys see them, but maybe one of the things that are the coolest is the Sol-C version. So basically you can specify which Sol-C version you're compiling against. And yeah, so this is how you compile, and I want to show you my deploy script, how one deploy script looks like. So in order for anyone to be able to develop easily, you would need to spawn Ganache. So we decided, why don't we embed Ganache into Etherlime and actually allow for better integration between the Etherlime and the Ganache. So we have added another command called Etherlime Ganache, which basically spawns Ganache with static accounts that have an enormous amount of Ether. So you don't have to worry anymore about your 100 Ether running up, and this is very useful when you're doing the ICOs. And when you want to unit test your ICOs, the 100 Ethers are normally not enough. So I have spawned my Etherlime Ganache. It supports everything that Ganache CLI supports. And now there is a deployer for Etherlime Ganache, which is called Etherlime Ganache Deployer. This is something that the Etherlime library exposes, and every deployer basically has a method called deploy, and this method called deploy just takes a compiled contract and just deploys it. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to just deploy a sample contract that I have here. It's basically as easy as typing Etherlime deploy. And here comes one of the first different things that you probably have not seen. So what we are doing is we are very verbose towards the developer. So you are always in control and you always see what's going on there. So for example, you can see that we are deploying from this address, we are deploying on this network, we are deploying this contract, and the control contract is deployed on this address, and you have all of this in a neat report where you can see all of this. And another very cool thing is that, for example, you do several deployments and you want to check what happened previously. For example, you can deploy on Robson. I'll show you a little bit later how do you deploy on Robson. But a thing that we have added in Etherlime is called Etherlime History, which I believe you can already guess what is it. but it allows you to actually see a history of execution, history of your deployments. Whenever you press Etherlime deploy, it saves it locally for you, so you can see history of your execution. So this is the same thing that we saw in the report previously. And because I'm almost running out of time, I want to show you two very, very important things. So first is unit testing. So unit testing is done using ethers and using the Etherlime deployers. So basically using the Etherlime Ganache deployer because you want your unit test to be very, very fast. And as you can see, we are using plain old Mocha. We are not adding the contract thing that Truffle that has there. We are using just the normal Mocha using Describe. But we have added a few goodies here. For example, one thing that I think you're going to appreciate is this interesting thing here. I don't know whether you guys see it, but it says assert revert. How do you guys test for reverts? Anyone? No one? No one tests for reverts? Right, you should test your code for reverts, but normally people just take some util and just take for some look for some revert code, and every project that is out there just has this code written inside. So we have augmented the Mocha to actually support the assert revert. So this is a very augmented Mocha that adds things for dev developers. So how do you run your unit tests? Well, as easy as Etherlime test. And it's important to have tests. You will now see how all of this goes through. But it's important to have tests, but it's not important to just have tests. It's important for you to cover your contracts with tests so that you are sure that what you are doing is actually, you have tested everything that you are doing. So what we can do is we can actually go ahead and see what our code coverage is. And how do you do this? Well, you just type Etherlime coverage. Now, this runs internally the SoulCover library, which is a very, very cool library, although it's a little bit out of date. So we are trying to update this too. We are going to be soon adding new version of the coverage. But in the same place where you write your test, where you write your deployment scripts, you can now see your coverage. So you see these are the unit tests, and we have this table that says this is my coverage, and yeah, well, I have 100% unit coverage. You should guys always have 100% unit test coverage. So I have 1 more minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can deploy on Robston. So I already have this prepared, and the way that you deploy to Robston or Rinkify, it doesn't matter, is through info. I do it through info a private key deployer, which basically takes a secret, which is a private key. And another interesting thing is we don't use configs because we believe configs are getting committed into repos and private keys are getting exposed. So we only pass secrets through the CLI. So I'm going to show you this very, very soon. So here is how you deploy on Infra, and I know I'm out of time, just give me a minute, sorry Alex. And so how do you do this? Well, I'm going to take just a single private key for safety reasons. And I'm going to do Etherlime deploy, and I'm going to specify my secret, which is my private key, and I'm going to specify the network that I'm deploying on, which is Rinkify. And we're going to basically see everything that we saw on the Ganache deployer, just a little bit slower, so you can see that, insufficient funds. Alright, you're right. Oh, I have one E. Should be like this. This is the rest of the live demo. So you can see that we are deploying from this address, and we are using Infra. Here is the transaction, and you can see the transaction here. And without taking any more of Alex's time, you can trust me that this is going to go through and you're going to see this fancy report that I showed you previously. And yeah, this is pretty much all that I had for you guys. Ask me anything that you want later in outside. Alright, we're good.